all of that to say, like, basically my background, my upbringing kind of thing. And my mom, she's dope. My mom is the funniest person I know. I feel like a lot of my personality comes from her because she's so carefree, friendly, loving. She's like, she don't care what people say, what people think. She's gonna live her life, and I love that about her because she just don't care. Sometimes her and I clash because we're women, right? And but she's an amazing woman. Again, our parents did what they could do best, whatever they knew to do best, and I love them for that. And yeah, I could go on and on, y'all, but I mean, anybody else want to share about their like?
Well, I come from a strict household, two educators. My mom, she was high up on the chain at the Board of Ed. My dad, who was a dean counselor at a college. So this is what I had to deal with, and but I was the rebellious one. My rebellion came from everybody has their own personality. You're born with it. People can try to change you, even as a child, as much as they want to. But if you just have that will inside you that that's not what I want to be, you're gonna rebel. And the biggest thing with my household was everybody had to go to college. Everybody had to do this is just your path. This is what you had to do, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right, so I'll follow your suit. That's what you want me to do, but I'm gonna do it my way. At 16 and a half, I graduated high school, and it was all on a whim. I was cutting school a lot, and my parents weren't having it. They called them into the school, and they were like, "We don't understand. How is it that she's got all these A's and B's, and she's never in school? She cuts every day." I would go on Monday. I would hear everything they had to tell me. I wouldn't come Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but I would come on Friday and take my test.
Undefeated.
Right.
Undefeated.
Smart.
So back then, they gave my parents an option. They said, "Listen, we know what to do to her. So she thinks she's so smart. Let her go take the GED." Now, back then, the GED was totally different than what it is now. Yes. They said, "Let her take her GED. If she thinks that she can pass this GED, we will graduate her like she completed high school."
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Guess who stepped in graduation in June of 1981?
Okay.
Absolutely.
To this day, I still have the program with my name in it and everything. Yes. So now, this just gave me that oomph. Like, oh, yeah, they don't know me. Now I can do it my way, and they got to take it. So I started, just being me, doing me. And I would throw it in their face. Well, I graduated high school, so I can do this.
Right. Because that's like the goal.
Right. And everything that I made, every choice that I made was all me going against what they said. We don't know then that their way really probably would have been better.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, my father and we clashed a lot. And my father has a lot of pride. And that's why, like I was telling you all, I had to ask my father, "You all right with me talking about things?" My father has a lot of pride. And it was one of those households where what goes on in this household stays in this household. From the outside looking in, they see us as a perfect family. We were the Huxtables.
The Huxtables.
Interesting.
The Huxtables.
Yeah,
Look, you're so young, you don't even know what the Huxtables are, people.
What?
The
Huxtables from the Cosby Show.
Oh.
Okay. So, but I couldn't fit in that puzzle. I just couldn't. It wasn't me. I'm a free-spirited person. I still am to this day. It's just like something that you couldn't take from me. But not knowing how to deal with all of this I had inside of me led me down a path that I just was destroying myself, and then I didn't realize it. And I could say, my father gave me a choice at 16 and a half, where you can't follow these rules in this house. You go lock your own doors somewhere else.
Oh.
Get out.
I took him up on it, and I left. Instead of humbling myself, I'm just going to be rebellious. I can do this. I proved you this in high school. I can prove you this now. And I left. That day I left, I knew I was going to go to my aunt's house. What I didn't know is my father called ahead and told her, "Don't let her stay there."
Oh, Dad.
So, I got you.
Yeah. So me being me, I'm going to go out and I'm going to find a way. I'm not going to go back groveling. I'm not going to do this. And this is the night my whole life changed. I was 16 and a half years old, and I walked to the corner. Back then they had phone booths. You go in the phone booth, you get a yellow pages, you open it up. I'm looking for shelters. I'm going to go to a children's shelter. I'm going to show them I could do this on my own. I called a place called Covenant House, under 21, one that was on 42nd Street and 10th, and I said, I can get there. Get on the bus, get on the subway. Everything's all good. Get off the subway. I called them. I said, I'm coming to your place, and I don't know where I am. I'm lost. I'm on 42nd Street. They told me how to get it. Told me I had to walk 5 blocks down. Well, I only made it to the second block, and I became a victim of rape.
Oh, wow.
And
Damn.
that's when my mind just turned me into a different person,
Wow.
because being angry, being hurt, being violated, and all those things turned me into somebody anger. Then I had to find somebody to blame, and of course I blamed my father for this for years, because you told me leave. Um,
How?
I
Take the moment.
I just had a different aspect on life after that. I got through it, or what I thought I was getting through it. I got through it, but what I didn't know, I never did. I was holding on to too much as a young girl. I was holding on to too much. I suppressed it. I didn't talk about it to anybody. I took it with me in everything I did in life. Any relationship I was in, it affected me. You don't know until years later, when you learn to understand it, that it affected it.
You start unpacking.
Right. And
Wow.
me going away to prison came from me being in a relationship that I wouldn't get out of. I couldn't get out of. Why? Because I'm thinking that what I did back then was so wrong. Let me now start living what my parents always told me. You stay in a relationship no matter what, you deal with it. Because before, the relationship with your parents, that's a relationship.
Yes.
I left it. So now I'm like, okay, I got to do it my way. Every single relationship in my life has been violent, it's been abusive, you know. But I thought that was normal. You know, you stay no matter what. I could tell you right now, there was a time that my ex-husband and I got into a fight, and I called my father, and I told him I'll call the police on him, and he said to me, you don't call the police on your husband. So now I'm like, all right. Now I got to put this in the back of my head.
Yes.
Get into another relationship. The relationship that I was in, where I wound up in prison, I was with a man. I knew what he was doing to me, cheating, lying, manipulating, facilitating ways to hurt me financially. Got caught up into financial crimes, you know, all of this, but I wouldn't leave him. And I mean, doing things that anybody in their right mind should have never stayed with this man. But I stayed in it. Stayed in it to the point that when the heat came down on me, I went to prison, and I wouldn't give him up. Like I was talking to you earlier, I never gave him up. Even though they said to me, we know that your husband knew about this. We know that he helped you to facilitate this. They even had him on camera going and opening the business account. Like, I didn't know all that when it first started, because I probably would just said, okay, just take his ass. I don't give a shit.
Right.
You know, but all of this came out when I went to my parole board. That's when I found out. After doing, well, my first parole board, I was in there 4 years for my first parole. So I knew about it then. And I look at all of this, and I say this to say, holding garbage makes your life dirty. I have learned to take garbage and put it where it's supposed to be, in its place. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you are to me. If I feel like you are trash, and trash to me is anybody that has nothing positive to bring to the table for me, I'm disposing of you. That includes if it's family. That, you know, family is not blood. Family is loyalty. Family is a person that has your back, right, wrong, or indifferent. I don't give a damn, excuse my curse, you know, but
That's true.
that's why I say I think that's what prison had to teach me. That's what it had to teach me. It had to teach me that because of what you went through doesn't mean that you have to be this way. I am not a product of my past, but I have become a queen because of my past.
Mm.
You know, and that's how I have to live my life today. And I learned that I'm a nurturer. I'm a natural nurturer. I like to give. I like to make people's life a little easier, even if it takes from myself. So I had to take a step back and say, okay, what can I do where I can still be that way, but not take so much from myself mentally, physically, and emotionally? So like I told you, I had a good job. I'm making good money. Everything. Is it really all about the money? No. Because when I got to sit there and be stressed out and drink wine to calm down, no, that's not what I want to do. So I said, you know what? The only thing I want to do if I had to take a chance and somebody tell me, what, if I gave you freedom to just do whatever, what would you do? I said, go and take care of my mother. But I can't do that. My mother's in Florida. I have to be here. So, okay, you know what? I'm going to take care of somebody else. So I don't even know if I told you that's what I'm doing now. I'm actually taking care of a sick woman. And the gratitude that I get from that, you have no idea. It makes it seem like everything I did in my past, it's nothing. Yes. This makes me feel good. When I hear that woman say to me, I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad you're helping me. And like just watching how from the day I met her to where she's at now, just in her care, watching that makes me feel whole. I'm like, I did something that somebody's grateful for. Because see, all that I did for my exes, all that I did for my ex-husband, all that I've done for even people in my family, it was not grateful. They was not grateful. They was just like, oh, that's in her nature, so let's just keep taking from her. Doesn't matter that us taking from her is depleting from who she is. I have a strange woman that I'm taking care of, and she fills me. You know? So I said, you know what? Thank you, God. Because that's all
beautiful.
God. Because everything with me was about, oh God, I gotta make this money. I gotta stay on this job because it makes good money. It's gonna pay the bills and give me more. I don't care about none of that. Now, if it's something that I want, and I'm like, I can't get to that. So you know what? Either I can make it, or there's gonna way that I'm a hustle that I'm gonna have it. That's how I'll do it. But before it was like, I gotta have this. I gotta have this. I gotta have it. No more. I don't care. Now it's about me having a peace of mind. Prison taught me that. Because everybody in prison thought, oh, she's just this bougie, uppity, whatever. No, I'm far from bougie. I'm far from uppity.
Ma, you fancy though, don't lie.
I'm bougetta. I'm bougetta, right? You know, I can get gully if I have to. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to stoop to your level to prove to you my importance. And that's the bottom line. You can think of me what you want. But as long as I know of who I am and I feel good about it, because that's the whole thing. I want to feel good every day. That's the bottom line, because I felt so bad. I had all that shit inside of me for years. I just wanted to feel good, and I want to feel good every day. I don't care if it's good because I took a lollipop and I ate it and I know I'm not supposed to eat it. I just want to feel good. Right. I don't care. You know what I mean? So that's me. Mom. And this is where I come from with my family. Like, but now, all these years later, and I think it's because they're older and they're older and they're aging. Yeah. They're now being a little bit more accepting of me. I'm just different, but I'm not different in a bad way. I just didn't know what to do with this difference I had. And y'all didn't help me to flourish it, for it to blossom into something where I am now. I shouldn't be this age now and just now finding out that this is what I had. This is my calling, or this is what it shouldn't have been that way. It should have been like, you know what, baby? It's going to be all right. We're going to talk through, we're going to work through, and we're going to figure it out. And that's what I try to do with my son. He's 16. And me being away from him for 6 years, I feel like as a teenager, he was punishing me. He's angry because I left him. But I try to tell him and talk to him and say, listen, I'm probably the best mother in the world because I'm open to anything you tell me. We'll work through it. I told him one day, I said, man, listen, if you get in trouble in them streets, you come home and you tell me the truth. Because that's going to matter if I'm going to get the right lawyer or I'm going to go fight for you or whatever. I said, don't come in here and lie to me and then they come knocking on my door and I don't know what to do. Let me prepare for it. I tell him, I don't care what you do because I've been there, and he's a male. I said, me going through that system as a woman is a lot different than you as a man going into. You're 16 years old. They're going to put you in there with them wolves, and they're going to eat your ass alive.
Oh, I got the chills when you said that.
So that's all I try to keep him open to, to understand it. And it's hard. It's a fight. And because I was talking to you about it, it's like it's a fight. They're angry that you left them, you know. But I try to tell him, like, you know, please understand this. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to guide you, and not guide you to be something I want you to be. I'm here to guide you to learn how to handle the system. Know the system. You know, I told him one day, before you commit a crime, find out what the punishment could be for that crime before you commit it. That's all I ask you. Know what you're up against, you know? And that's the hard part of being a parent coming out of jail and having to go back to parenting, because they do look at us like, who are you to tell me what to do?
Absolutely.
Right.
The nerve of you.
You've been in prison. You gonna tell me what you left me? You and yeah, I left you. Yeah, but let me tell you why. You know, and it's like trying to tell you real. This is my truth, but
Yeah.
respect that. You know,
I
I
mean,
don't want to raise them like my parents raised me.
Well,
yeah.
honestly, you said a lot, and I'm so
Yeah.
grateful. But down to your transparency, this is going viral, and the fact that you shared something that I didn't even know about, and we've had we were bunkies.
Yeah.
You know, we had lots of conversations, and you know, I appreciate your courage. Just know that you're not alone, and I know that this will touch someone to hear what you went through and how you handled it, but how you turned it around and the importance of turning it around for the better. So this will help, hopefully, a young woman who possibly endured that trauma and that terrible experience. So I really appreciate you for that. That's beautiful. It takes a lot of courage to share something like that, and I really thank you and I love you for that, because
You.
it moved me. So I thank you,
Yes.
and
Welcome.
you're doing great as a mom, and it's because you're aware of.
Mhm.
You know, once you're aware, okay, I know why he's acting like that. You're able to maneuver in a way where you're not emotional
Mhm.
or about it, right?
Mhm.
So thank you. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, wow. That's my upbringing was like the total opposite, right? I never had that household, that mother and father upbringing. My mother was actually incarcerated when she had me, and I went automatically into foster care. Um, so I stood in foster care for 10 years, and when I came home to my biological mother, it was a on and off battle for her. Her addiction. My mother struggled with an addiction, a drug addiction, and you know, she worked. You know, she was in the nursing field, and you know, she was never in the streets, and I appreciated that because I come from the hood, and it's embarrassing, you know, when your anyone in your family is on drugs, and you know they're out there, and you're young, and you know you're out there. But I was angry. I was like, I was I was angry. I didn't like sit down and say, you know what, I'm angry about this. But in retrospect, like looking back at it, is like the things that I did, you know, the fighting, the stealing, the stealing cars. And I just was deviating because I wasn't getting the proper guidance and love and nurturing in a household that any child is supposed to get. So I turned to the streets. But I always, in the midst of that, I always, you know, just kept education and making a living, earning, you know, being ambitious. I just kept that at the forefront. Like I always, you know, was tapped into that. But um, my mother ended up getting sick, and when I caught my case, my mother passed away like 2 years into my bid. Um, I always thought we would have a chance to like build a relationship, but tomorrow's not promised. Um, my father, he was absent. I met my father at like it's crazy because when I came home, my father was locked up, and I always was in contact with his family, but I never met him. So he was down south, going state to state, you know, doing his ones and twos, and like his brothers, my cousins. Well, your father is your father, you know. And when I came home, like I wanted to, like I want to meet you. Like, who is this man? Who's my father? Like I could be looking at him any day, walking down the block. Like, where is he at? Who is he? So I reached out to the prison, contacted him, and we've been in contact since. As you said, Yokai, like, you know, they do their best. Her mother died when she was 10. So she didn't know how to be a mother. I never held any resentment, any, you know, blame. She did the best she could do, and it's on me to do the best I could do. But took a lot of losses, and not having that foundation, that structure, like I had to figure it out. I had to be there for myself, and I that's where my strength comes from, because when you don't have, like, your parents bring you into the world. They're supposed to nurture you, guide you, protect you, love you. So yeah, that was my upbringing.
Yes.
Friend, I like this mic. Oh my
I'm
god.
done.
No, but while you're speaking, right? And guys, I'm sorry, y'all can say feedback too. I'm just like taking it all in. But back to you. Like I knew some stuff, but not like so in depth. So this is like really cool. We're all getting to know each other at this point,
Absolutely.
right?
We are all naked in the room.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be the name of this. Naked in Truth. But no, like you sharing the generations, like your mom, you know, did time. You were born in a prison, and then your dad was in the system. But best friend, let me tell you something. You broke that generational curse, because
Absolutely.
you came out, and just by, first of all, being a homeowner, buying a multi-family house. You hear me? Like, I got the chills, because as we all know, like I'm in Facebook groups, who like I don't even know the name of it, but it's like a bunch of girls that we did time with, and all you see is rest in peace to this person. They overdosed. This person's back in. Like I've been home now 5 years. Some people been in more than I can even count.
Absolutely.
And so you being the person who, it's like, why am I going through the same thing my parents then went through or something, right? But it's because you were the one who was created with the purpose to break that.
Yeah.
So you're special, friend. You know that. But you are special in God's kingdom. And not only that, but just you by sharing your story, just as, you know, Sharon Goldie, aka, you know, whoever's watching this can be like, have similar, we'll be so, like, there's so many people who could relate to us, like, believe it or not. Like, we all have different stories, but there's probably someone out there right now who went through the system of foster care and absence of parents, but they're like, Dad, what do I do now?
Feel like
You take that baton and you make something happen, just like you did.
We're all droplets of rain.
Right.
All different shapes, sizes. We all hit the ground in different ways, but we all end up in one puddle. It's like what everybody has can come together, and it can become something. You know what I mean? So,
and I also appreciate you for sharing, because you would think my friend is the president. She don't talk nothing. She's so private. Even with me, she's sometimes private, like, friend. So I thank you for being transparent for the masses, the world, and I appreciate your courage, friend. Thank you.
And just to touch on that, like, to think about it, right? The way I am in private or dealings, it stems from that. So it was, you know, interesting that you brought it back to our upbringings, because we are a byproduct of our experiences. And as Sharon was saying, like, some of the trauma, like, our body remembers. It's like cells in our body. The different experiences that we experience, our body remembers. Our inner child, you know, just wanting to be a child, our inner child remembers, like, what it got, what it didn't get, you know. It's, you know, so it all It all relates. It all connects.
Mhm.
All the dots connect.
Wow, thank you. Teron Hill on the mic.
Well, to start off my upbringing, this right here is an example of what I have been dealing with my entire life. I'm more inspired by women in my life than men. And that right there is kind of like, it's hard, but men have been on y'all shoulders for, it goes back years. Like, we always on y'all shoulders. Y'all always, they say behind every strong man is a strong woman, right? So every great man is, y'all was the one that was putting the pieces together. So growing up, one of the things that I yearned for the most was stability in a home. And I experienced it one time. My mother was in a 5-year relationship, and it kind of like, she don't even know this. This is like one of my first times speaking on it, but once that unit was broken apart, it's almost, I never experienced it with my father, but she had another, male figure that was in her life. And 5 years, imagine that from, let's say, 3 to 8, it was like my father left the house. So that right there kept me looking for that in so many different ways. And I remember when I was around, well, for one, I was a big follower. Peer pressure. I was one of the, I had a lot of friends, 10, 15, whatever you want to call it. But a lot of it came from the area I come from, Camden, New Jersey, Pollock Town, is like family oriented in a sense, because my uncle sold drugs, my cousins sold drugs, like all that. So when I fell victim to the streets, it was almost like, you next up. And this was more attainable than being anything else, pretty much. So that right there, my mother found out we were smoking weed probably like 10, 11. And she found out because where we were staying at, we used to have a lot of friends come over. So her and my cousin came home and they found a blunt. And then me and my brother came home and she like, yeah, y'all smoke weed too. So we was like, nah, mom. She like, we found a blunt. We like, well, where the blunt at then? For the prover. She like, well, me and Nikki smoked it.
So the evidence.
So that right there opened the can of worms, because she started giving us, my mom tried to be our friend too much. So she would say, well, I'd rather y'all smoking in the house than out there. That's the worst decision you could ever make. My daughter would never smoke. No, I'm not approving of that. I'm not supporting it in no way. You're going to sneak and smoke it somewhere else. So that right there opened up a can of worms. I think we was around 14. We lost our home. My mother fell victim to the streets, and that caused us to fend for ourselves in the streets. Me, per se, I was more of a risk taker. So I'm like, man, I'm selling drugs. I don't care about, it wasn't even the second thought in my mind. So that right there, I got to make money. So I was like kind of providing for me and my brother, my older brother at that. So it was like, he like, yo, you better at it than me. And, he just used to be scary. I mean, I'm like, man, I don't care. Let me get it. I'm going to go sell it.
That's
and that right there was my story up until, I became a father with my daughter, which was October 28th, 2004. And that moment gave me so much joy. Like, I actually witnessed the birth. And that was like the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because I started saying like, yo, like, I'm really responsible for someone now, a whole human. I used to just like look at her and be amazed, like, I can't believe this.
You was happy.
I was very, very happy.
I would be scared. Like, what?
So then it'd be snatched out of her life after 33 days. Of course, it's like, yo, like, it just was crazy. But
that's crazy.
Everything happened for a reason. The journey happened for what it is. But the mistake I realized I made in this entire situation with me being wrongfully convicted is that I made myself a victim to the system. And that's by being out there selling drugs. Because we are literally victims in their game. They don't care about you. They like, yo, you sell drugs. You're a piece of garbage. So they look at you like, okay, we could plant this on you. We can make this stick. That's what we're going to do.
Because you've already ruined your own credibility.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
What you doing any different out here than
you're already outside?
But do you really have a choice when you're in this environment? Like, we wasn't born and said, Mom, take me to Brooklyn, East New York, take me to Camden. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's why environment is so important. But keep going. I'm sorry. We'll get into that.
No, but environment. That's one thing that I learned about parenting. You don't want to control your kids. You don't want to dictate anything. but you want to try to control their environment to the best of our ability. Because, and I say me controlling their environment is creating opportunities.
Mhm.
You know what? I'm gonna have you. I'm gonna invest in their future, their childhood. I'm gonna put you in basketball, football, piano, swimming, and they might not like it all, but you can see what they're good at and what they're not good at.
They can figure
So
it
that's
out.
so that's kind of controlling their environment. Some things they're gonna fall in love with. All right, she's really good at swimming. She could be one of the best swimmers. And if we see some of these great athletes, Steph Curry, Michael Jordan, whoever, Simone Biles, like this stuff started early. This stuff didn't they didn't become teenagers to say, oh, I'm gonna go do this.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, so we just need to take note of all of that. But again, inspiring women. I gotta step my game up. Like I said, I've been home 8 months, and you know, I look forward to staying in contact with y'all. You know, so thank you. Again.
Thank you. I appreciate your journey. And again, like when you're speaking about your like upbringing, your childhood, like we all have something in common. We all grew up fast. Like and it's because of our environment.
Yeah.
And I always tell people environment, since we're on the environment talk, right? You know, environment I took a note 1 second. But environment is so important. Like when it comes to your physical environment meaning like who you're speaking to every day, environment meaning your selection of friends, like these are my real friends. Like this ain't fake, y'all. This ain't fake.
No.
We didn't practice. This
Nope.
is real stuff. And so you are your circle is who you are. You attract who you are as a person. You know, and so that's to say that your mistakes, our mistake, what we've been through, it doesn't define us, right? It helps us become who we need to become, but it doesn't, oh, you did a bit in prison, you're a felon. Oh, I'm a felon. No, I'm not labor. I think you brought awareness to me at one time. Maybe it was you. I would say to people, yeah, I'm a felon. He was like, you ain't no felon. Was it you saying that to me? I'm not sure, but she made me aware of saying like, I am is so powerful.
Yeah.
Because when we say affirmations, I am strong, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am rich, I am that chick.
You don't want to say I'm a felon.
Right. You don't want to like label yourself like that. So I say I have a felony, you know, whatever. But my point is that, you know, we have a tendency, even outside of prison, like in relationships, like people that cheat, like, oh, I'm a cheater. You're not a cheater. You cheated that time. Don't allow that one mistake to define who you are as a person. You just got to do better. And when you become better, you attract better. You will attract someone who will love you or want you outside of your past of being a cheater, right? So it's the same for us. Like, I went to prison, but I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna brag about the fact that I have great quality friends. You never went to prison, and your friends are kind of like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you know, we do have control. We have control of a lot of things. God gave us the willpower of decision making.
Right.
You know, I heard this audio or whatever. I think it was Jim Rohn, and he said, the only thing that doesn't grow to its fullest potential is the human being. You know, trees. They grow out. They, you know what I'm saying? Like they do their thing.
Growing. You got to trim them because they get so big.
They know they understand what they need to do. But us, we live so below that because of the free will of being able to say, okay, should I go chill with my friends that talk about everybody, or should I go hang out with my friends that's probably, you know, listening to audio or reading a book or, you know,
how to become a millionaire.
You know, something like something, you know. So we have that choice, and that all balls up on environment. So a lot of people reach out to me, and I'm so grateful. You know, I feel like when I think about my purpose, I'm like, okay, God. So I did 5 years in prison. I go on social media. I start sharing my story. A lot of people are impacted by it because they share a lot of stuff with me, like, you know, Yukara, because of you, I didn't commit suicide. Because of you, I get through my days. Like, so much stuff. And I'm just like, okay, God. So maybe, because when I was in there, I gave my life to Christ. I learned, you know, I ain't all the way there yet, y'all. Okay. But, you know, God is working in me, on me. But my point is that, I always said I wanted to be a preacher. I'm like, I feel like I just got so much to say. And I'm just like, God, give me something, you know? And I feel like he put me in a position to where in a generation and a time like this where social media is such a huge platform where you could impact the masses sitting in your couch. I'm like, why pour out negativity? Like, there's so many people that use social media to break people down. And I'm like, I want to be the person who builds people up. And so I feel like, you know, with me, I see purpose in me, like, utilizing these platforms to pour life into people. So when people reach out to me and they're like, how do you overcome fear? How do you do this? How do you do that? I'm like, listen, honestly, it all starts obviously one with God, because honestly, that's who got me through everything. If I tell you half the stuff I went through, like, you'll be like, yo, Karis, how did you not? I was never on medication. I was never on nothing. Like, I never went to therapy. Not saying that that's bad. I want to take therapy now, but you know, my point is, in the midst of my sentence, like, y'all know what I was serving 25 to life for murder. Like, and it wasn't just murder. It was like the person who it was like a tough thing. And, you know, it's gotten better throughout the years, especially now. But my point is that when people ask me, how did you get through it, or how do I get through it? It's God. So number one is God, but two, we have to change our environment. It's so important. Like, you know, it's so important because our environment and the decisions we make as far as our environment, I believe, defines our tomorrow, right?
Definitely.
So I just think it's so important. Like, I don't like being around people. I can't sit down and talk too much about other people, gossip. I don't like. I can't. Like, my friend and I, we talk. When we all talk, we talking about life, how to grow, what can we do next, how can we impact. You know, we're speaking life into each other, pouring into each other. And like I said, environment. When I moved to Houston, it was like, why did you move to Houston, for a man? I'm like, no, not for no man. But I moved to Houston because, you know, I would want to go for jogs in East New York, and all I'm running is garbage, you know, drug addicts, broken down buildings. You know, I love coming into the city because the architect, beautiful, clean, you know, so that's, I wanted that to be my daily, not every now and then, let me go to 42nd Street to see something nice, you know? So I said, I'll go to Houston, and now I leave my apartment complex, I go downstairs, guess what, my neighborhood, $1 million houses, you see all types of exotic cars in the driveways. Like, this is what I need to see. This is what I need to be around. You know what I'm saying? So
makes you want to strive to that.
yeah,
the
that
next level, right?
and then also it just it's like it gives me confirmation. Like, yo, this is where I always wanted to be, and I'm glad that I have the power to make this decision. So that means I have control over everything else in my life. So environment is so good. Y'all have anything to say about like environment or like mindset? How important it is about the people you're around?
I read a book one time, and it broke down environment, and it spoke about environment can be the clothes you wear, the music you listen to, obviously your social life, work, business, whatever it is that you choose to do. Like, all that consists of your environment, and it makes perfect sense.
Right.
I mean, so just to add that, but you touched on a lot of points too.
I actually wanted to touch on. I remember when Ty said that, you know, when you're released from prison and the environment you know versus the new exposure that you had, whether it was college, whether it's, you know, books and authors, or different behavior patterns, exercise and fitness and stuff like that, eating right, faith or prayer, whatever good things. But for me, you know, that was a struggle for me personally, like coming home and knowing Mount Vernon is 4 square miles. Like, literally, everybody knows everybody. You walk down a block, you're not going down one block without saying hi to like 5-10 people.
Right.
Everybody knows everybody. And so coming home and like having that like connection or, you know, relationship or knowing of that's what you know, and now having been transformed and made anew and having, you know, all of these things that you've been doing repetitively for 10 years, you know, I started straddling the fence and like, okay, like, well, I'm going in this direction, but I love them and I know this, but I had to make that decision. Like, a square can't fit in a circle. You know, you can't do both. You got to pick a side. And you've outgrown that. You know, like, what would Jay-Z do? You know, like, what would, you know, Oprah do? You know, what would these people, the lifestyle that you want, you know, the things that you want to see, the car you want to drive, the building you want to own, the whatever you want, you know, how are you going to attain that? And it's that's not the blueprint, you know. So I had to like make that decision. I had to decide that I have to separate. I have to go my separate ways from that.
Mm.
And it hurted. It was other people that were formerly incarcerated that I grew up with, you know, because it's like you do become a product of your environment, right? You're out there, you're hustling, you're fighting, you're, you know, in a life of crime, because that's what's out there. It's not programs out there. It's not swimming and dancing and, you know, gymnastics out there. We're doing what's out there. So now I'm home. You know, it's other people that are home that I had a relationship when I was young, a relationship with when I was a kid, and it's like, what's up? Like, you know, we're connected, and it's like clashing, and it's like, bro, I outgrew you.
That
Like,
is so deep.
The things that your mind is still 15 years ago,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to elevate. I'm trying to become better, a better person for my community, for my family, for myself, you know, and I want you to want that too. I want to inspire you to like go in that direction as well. I want that for you. I love you. Like that's isn't you want to take people along the path that you know, like why wouldn't you? We already have the relationship. I already know you. Like I want you to come along.
But sometimes they don't want it from
Right.
You know what
you
he
can
said?
give them all the tools you want, but if they don't pick it up and use it,
You know what he said to me? He said, you know what? He said, I'm comfortable here. He said, you know what, Kira? He said, I want to stay right in the middle.
I know that broke your heart.
He said, because if I stay in the middle, I'm safe. He said, if you go to the top, and I know you're going to go to the top, he said, because Kara, you always been that way since you was a kid. You was always ahead of everybody. So he said, but when you go to the top, it's only one other direction to go, and it's down.
Wow.
Yo.
Now that's deep.
Yo.
No,
when
that's
when I
deep.
said, I was like, wow. Because,
No, that's
I don't
deep.
know, I have this idea that, like, we're precious, we're treasures, like, we're precious. People that have been incarcerated, like, yes, you don't do good things to get there, you know, but when you get there, God is, like, working. He's, you know, he's molding. And when we come out, we had a lot of time to really sit and think, to figure it out. You know, we had a lot of time.
I still that time alone, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like I have this idea that if you was incarcerated, like, you just don't, you gotta be.
No, but we beat the odds though. Because like you said, how many people sit back and try to become a better criminal?
Yeah.
They come home like, man, I did it wrong. I'm gonna do it this
no,
way
yeah,
next
that's
time.
a good
Yep,
point.
that's
That
it.
is
That's
true.
why they land
Yep.
right back.
Yeah.
So we beat the odds, which makes us rare individuals because
That's true.
it's just different.
That's the
If
flip side.
everybody did what we did, how many people would be going back to prison?
Right.
None.
Right. That's the flip side. But
Can a friend that you speaking on the gentleman you're speaking about, like even thinking about someone saying that to me who I love will break my heart.
it did. It
And I
crushed
know
me.
it did.
It crushed
And
me.
it's crazy because I don't know, I'm always talking. Like sometimes I don't even know what I'm saying. But it's okay because I mean what I'm saying. Like,
Right.
and it's I always come from a genuine place. But people take offense when you tell them, when you back off. So you back off because you're like, okay, let me just ease out their life real quick, or let me just pull back, and not tell them the harsh truth that I'm outgrowing you because I don't want to hurt your feelings. But then again, it's like, no, maybe you need to hear this. So I've expressed to some people like, yo, I outgrew you, or I outgrew what we used to do, and they would take offense to it. And it's like, it's not for us to take personal. It's just as you grow older and you're not trying to become a better person, you are a better person.
Yeah, I'm a better person, but I'm also trying to become better because I know that it's always room for improvement.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So,
the growth never stops. It never
yeah,
ends. It never ends.
I'm always
growing. And you know, some
forward.
people can't accept that. And it's like it's not for you to take personal. It's just that we don't have the same things in common anymore.
Exactly.
You know, I don't do what I used to do. I don't speak how I used to speak. I'm not engaged or entertained by the things I used to be entertained by. And that's what's called growth. The worst thing is being, 30 with a 15-year-old mindset still. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, because of comfort and that, like comfort is, they literally say it, it's your kill zone. It's like you're like wherever you're comfortable, you're dying there. And it's true, because I've put myself in positions to get so uncomfortable. And like, I'm talking about uncomfortable, like financially uncomfortable, mentally uncomfortable, spiritually uncomfortable. And people say, why and how do you do that? I'm like, listen, I'm sorry, y'all, but I'm not going to say sorry, because I mean this. It's because I know who's my leader. I know who guides me. I know who orders my steps. And not only that, but I just feel like I'm a risk taker. Like, it's no fun in being still. Like, I love to just try new things, because that's how I'm going to grow. People mistake, like, I had a conversation with someone, and they said they wanted to start Airbnb business. So, I teach Airbnb, and I'm like, okay, so get started. Yeah, but I'm just afraid to fail. I said, well, if you're afraid to fail, you're never going to succeed. And so I learned that, I went to a conference, and John C. Maxwell, he's an author. He's big on leadership and mindset. He's dope. And he was there at this conference speaking, and he spoke about that. He said, failure comes hand in hand with success. And I was like, wow, that's deep. Like, I've always heard that, but when the way he dissected it, it was like, well, in this case, I want to fail I want to fail, because that means I'm closer to success, And, I just think we as people, not us in general, but just everybody, like, we just have to get out of this mindset that, oh, maybe if I play it safe, I'm good. No, if you play it safe, you'll never know what's next. You will never know what's in front of you.
What you're capable of.
Right.
That's
What you're capable of, right. And that speaks to, on the way here, we were driving, and it was a story about an eagle being around chickens, like, and it watched a chicken every day, so it thought it was a chicken, but it was an eagle. So it did everything the chicken was doing, and it wasn't being an eagle, and it ended up dying a chicken. But it was an eagle. And that's the correlation to human beings. Like, we gotta take the shots. You gotta throw the ball. You got to, but it's fear-based, and it's programmed. It's programmed, and they don't know what they don't know.
They can't get out of their own way.
It's information. Everything is information, right? We're here today because of information, right? Is the only thing between us and the life that we want to live is information. Like, getting where we're at, we got where we are through information. So information changes lives, but people have been programmed through their environments, through their family structures, and they have to undo that, unpack that, and reprogram. And affirmations, you said affirmations, right? If you're not telling yourself, if I'm not telling myself, if you're not telling yourself, I'm awesome, I'm unstoppable, I'm unbreakable, I'm the best, who's telling us these days?
Right.
Where are we getting this? Where are we going to start to, where's this belief coming from? Where are we going to develop that belief system if we're not telling ourselves this? Because sometimes you're going to encounter, when you have good friends, you're watering them, they're watering you. It's a give and take. We're pouring in each other's cup. I don't leave the situation, family, friendship, whoever, depleted. Right. Our cups are full. Everybody's cups is full. Right. And that's how we know when you're in a healthy, giving environment. And it's, equal exchange. But sometimes it's not equal, right? Sometimes the people you bless aren't going to be the same people that bless you.
They drain you.
And as a leader, as an impactor, as inspirers, we're constantly inspiring and being inspired, So, the environment is very important. The mindset is very important.
Yeah, this real quick, I just wanted to speak on what amazed me to find out. I think it was Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson, how they used to say every time they got in the ring, like, they was scared to death. And I used to be like, these dudes is, especially Mike Tyson. Right. But I'm like, it's certain emotions that we may experience that we don't understand. But everybody had these emotions.
Right.
When it comes to emotions, we were all built the same. Some people just respond differently to them.
Right.
And that right there is amazing.
Yeah.
But just in closing for me, I just wanted to speak about anyone who be saying, how did you overcome this, or how did you adjust with being home after doing all that time or whatever. For one, it's really just about, like I said, the brother used to always say, killing that nigga in this. And this don't apply to everybody, because everybody don't have a nigga mentality. But really killing a nigga in this, and stop living for others. Because we trying to live to please everybody else
Yes.
but ourselves.
Right.
So
Mhm.
when you
Yep.
are able to, and it takes a lot of courage,
Mhm.
a lot of courage. So when you are able to do that, it really allows you to just be at peace
Mhm.
and live your truth, live yourself, do what makes you happy.
Mhm.
Forget everybody else. I don't care what business you open up, anything that you choose to do in life, you're gonna have people that you touch, you support, and some people that don't support it. Everything you do in life
Right.
is not for everybody.
Right.
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 That's a
The
fact.
most successful people in life, they said Muhammad Ali, all these guys, Floyd Mayweather, they had people pay to see their fights just to see them lose.
Right.
Imagine that. You supporting me. You paying money in my pocket just to see me lose.
Yeah.
They the type of haters I need.
The
Right.
I'm
mentality.
serious.
Yo,
Yeah.
I saw the girl yesterday. I don't know, she's like in a public eye, and she deleted somebody's page. They had like some words, and she got their Instagram page deleted, and then she posted it. Like, yeah, I deleted your page, and everybody like it fell back. The backlash was on her. Like you deleted somebody's page and you publicly said that. Like
Right.
you're a hater,
Right.
and you're putting a lot of time into hating.
Right.
You know, so
It's-
that just reminded me of that. Like, but
Mhm.
it's a balance, right? We're gonna have the love, we're gonna have the hate,
Absolutely.
you know, and it's what we're focusing on that
Mhm.
is gonna multiply, you
Mhm.
know. So
Yeah, and that's definitely true, because I used to always, I don't know why, y'all. Some people might say naive or gullible, but I will always say I ain't got no haters. Don't nobody hate me. Like, I'm thinking a hater is someone who just has this hate for you. Like, if I see you, it's
Mhm.
lit. Like,
Yeah.
that's my definition of a hater or somebody I
The
got beef
op,
with.
right.
Yep.
Like, man, if I'm walking cool. Like, I'm walking these
like I'm
streets.
good.
I got this shield over me. Yeah, I can't see it, but I know it's there. So I never lived my life really like, oh, these haters and like, oh, people like, oh, this person wants to be like me. They doing everything I do. Like, listen. I don't focus on, like you said, friend. I don't
Yeah.
focus on. I focus on the love. I focus on the people that are actually showing me love, pouring into me
Right.
the way I'm pouring into them. Like, I don't feed into that, because the more you feed into it, the more you're gonna see it, and the more you're gonna get distracted and caught up by it.
Right.
So I mean, I'm sure there's people who don't like me, who probably think the worst of me, but I don't care about y'all, honestly,
We irritate
respectfully.
some,
But you know, like
Mhm.
I always say, my parents love me.
Mhm.
You know, my friends love. I have a good circle of people who genuinely love me, and that's sufficient for me.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not looking to be approved or accepted by anything or anyone else.
Right.
So I think definitely the haters thing is definitely real. Now I know, but back then I used to be like, I ain't got no haters. I used to literally sit in myself like, when I'm learning the Bible, I'm like, do I got haters? Do anybody hate me?
No, because what it is you're such a positive person.
Mhm.
And when you give off positivity, you like, how do you not like me? For what?
Mhm.
What
Right,
have
right.
I done to you?
Right.
And that's
Something's
hard
wrong.
to understand. You will
Yeah.
never understand it. So
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just kind of gotta like leave it alone. But
it's not personal though, right? Because you know we're doing the work, we're working on ourselves. So people that aren't, you know, when they see us, it irritates them. It's like, what are you so happy about?
Right.
Like, how do you have all of this abundance? Like, how are you
Mhm.
doing so good for yourself? Like,
if you know what I've been through, you
what's the
understand
secret?
why.
And it irritates them because they feel like our life is just we're not having those peaks. We only, you know, having those valleys. We only having the peaks. But everybody, like, it's human nature. It's human beings. Like, everybody is going through it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody.
Nobody got it all
It
together.
looks different. It
Mhm.
might be in a different category. Yours might be love, finances, families, whatever, health. Like,
Mhm.
everybody is fighting silent battles.
Yes.
Everybody.
You know, that's good, friend, because yesterday I said that. I said you could have it all together financially, but spiritually you don't, or in your household. And you're like, you're right. Everybody, nobody got it all together.
Everybody is, you know,
No.
fighting a battle. And I tell people, because they look at us, or, you know, I have family members that might look at me and be like, you know what, you're doing so good for yourself, you know, and like, I'm not. And, you know, get into that competitive nature. And it's like, bro, like, I'm going through stuff too.
Right.
Like I'm a human being. So
Right.
God isn't favoring, like, I mean, He favors me. Let's not get it twisted. You know what I mean? Our relationship is
Amen.
crazy, but you know, lesson, suffering, the pain, you know, the love, the joy is a balance.
Yeah.
It's a balance, and you know.
So I just have a question before we wrap this up. Just, I think everything we said was amazing, number one. But just to kind of like go back into, you know, just experience, and everyone knows what we've been through, how we've overcome it, how the things that we do to stay afloat and to kind of just stay on a positive path. Now, what is something that we can all share, like maybe 30 seconds, that you feel like what is something that people don't have enough of, like upon release? Like, what is something that you wish people had more of, as far as like coming home from prison, like today? Like, if someone right now is listening to this right now, like, what is an advice you would give them, number one? And number two, what is something, in case, we might have investors, like, I mean, we're all future investors into something big, right? But what if someone is on here that can potentially make something happen? What is something you would like to see more of? So for me, I would say that if there's anyone that just came home, congratulations. I would say have a plan. Like, don't just wing it. Don't sit in your house like, oh, let me just take it day by day and see what it is. When I came home, I had a plan. I said, I'm going to get a job. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to start a Christian clothing brand. Like, I had a plan, So I think having a plan is super important, because if you have no direction, you don't know where you're going. It's like trying to go to, I don't know, Canada from the city with no GPS. Like, how you know where you're going? Like, you have to, it may not go according to your plan, right? Because a lot of things happened in my life. It didn't go all the way through that way. But have something that is allowing you to, like, have some type of map, some type of guide. And then as far as like, I wish we had, as far as we need, I feel like as for the women, I didn't really, thank God for my family. I didn't really have to like utilize too much of the resources that they provide out here in New York. I did take advantage of CCF, College and Community Fellowship. It's a nonprofit organization out here in the city, located in Harlem. Amazing program. They help women who come home from prison get back into school, whatever that is. They're very supportive. They help you with incentives, supplies, like dope program, extremely cool program. But that's the only one I know about as far as education. But I would say a platform where people can come home, friend, and they can like go into an environment where they're learning like the real things that matter, like finances, like learning about credit, the importance of credit, how to build credit, how to, entrepreneurship. Like, why force them into the system again? Go to school, get good grades, get a good job. Like, there's a different system out here that they need to know about. People that come home, like, especially people that did 10 years, 15 years that are released. Like, listen, you have an option. You don't have to go to school. You can learn about credit repair. You can learn about, business loans, business, entrepreneurship, those kind of resources, more financial literacy more than anything. So that's kind of what I feel like there should be more of.
I think they need more resources outside of the 5 boroughs too. That was a big problem. I'm from Nassau County. I was blessed to come home educated. I was blessed to come home to have some skills. There's others that don't. And there's no help in Nassau Suffolk area. There's really, so you have to either come out here to the city, and most people that know it, people from, we don't see it as two sides of the world, but it kind of is. You're in the Long Island, you just don't go to the city.
Right.
You know what I mean? And who wants to have to go to the city every single day for either program or help or resources and, reach out? And then, they've got financial issues. How are they going to, do that?
That's a good point.
So they do need, more than that. But I would think a person coming home, one thing you need to do is, with having that plan, you also have to be humble. You need to be transparent. You need to be prepared and comfortable to tell your story, because you might tell your truth to one person and they'll shut you down, but you might tell your truth to somebody else and say, I'm going to open this door to you and give you this opportunity. I'll tell you one thing about me. my last name, I kept my married last name. I kept my married last name so that when I came out, they don't know that other name. So I can just go through the system like this, hidden. And I was hidden. I went through everything. People ask me, "Oh, you ever been incarcerated?" No. No. Oh, well, we're gonna run your name. Oh, go ahead, run it. Nothing came back. And they was, like people saying, "Oh, you're nervous. They're gonna do a background check." Okay, yeah, they're gonna do a background because they're looking for this name. Yeah. Oh, nothing came back. You're good. And when I came on, I got really good jobs. I'm like, okay, yeah, they don't know. So you like this stuff that you have to be prepared for. If you don't have that ability, I just happen to have that. The others, they just have to be prepared. Be prepared that someone will tell you no, but people might tell you yes.
Ain't right now.
Just tell your story. There's nothing wrong with telling your story. It's not looked upon how it was years ago. Oh, you were in jail.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, oh no. Because not everybody in prison is bad.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love that. Thank you.
For me, coming home, I was thinking and then I lost the thought.
That comes with age, girl.
Well.
All right, so I have a few, like, for starters, right? I feel like, if you're coming home and the environment that you were in before you went into the system isn't fruitful or conducive to where you're trying to go, don't go back there.
Right.
Don't parole back to a place that isn't set up to set you up to go to the place that you're trying to go to. Because it's a setup.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, another instinctive move that I made, like, while I was incarcerated, I'm like, I can't go back there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't. Like, it's no way that what I want for my life is going to grow from that environment.
Right.
And so that's for one. Like, if you have the ability to connect with programs. I connected with Our Children. It was a program in Queens. It caters to mothers and children. I don't have any children. They do also cater to single women as well. So I had the opportunity to get in there. It was an excellent program. The structure kind of changed a little bit, but it's an excellent program. And you could get what you could get. Get what you could get out of it. There's other programs out there, Fortune Society, Women in Justice Project, WPA. There's a lot of nonprofit organizations. So networking, network.
Mm-hmm.
Don't network when you come home, as you said, planning, right?
Yeah.
Network while you're inside.
Mm-hmm.
There's different people in there that you can network with. If you have any ties to the outside world, start networking. Start figuring out like what programs are in alignment with what you're trying to do. Whether it's getting into the nursing industry or HVAC. I think networking, not going back to your environment, and resources, as you said. That's for us. Like we got to create these platforms. There's a lot going on out here. The way that everyone used to think in the 90s in terms of the American dream, it's discarded. That's torn up and it's limitless. There's we can do and be anything we want, and we see that every day. So we can now create these platforms for them, these financial literacy, these systems, because it's systems, right? Everything that's going on is a system, and once you learn the system, now we can give them the system. Like, if you build your business credit, you can now have this access to a whole bunch of money that can now change your life, that can change other people's life, because if it changes your life, it's going to trickle down. So, I mean, we are in a unique position to kind of create these, platforms for them, because we're out there actually doing the work. We're into entrepreneurship heavy. We're into, self-care heavy. We're into, bettering ourselves, our community. So it's on us now.
Yes.
Well, just in 10 seconds, just want something. Actually want something. Don't be afraid to fail. And surround yourself with a better environment. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. That wraps up our session, guys.
Yes, thank you guys.
Thank you so
Definitely thank you
much.
guys.
We had a blast.
Good job.
If y'all really like it, like a lot, just like comment below, like it, share it, and we'll do it again.
Yes.
Y'all down for another one?
Yeah.
I just lost 10 pounds.
Ah!
10 pounds.
Big relief,
But
big
thank
relief
you
right
guys.
there.
We love you. We appreciate you. And we are out of here. Check it out.
All right.
Be great. This is dope, man. I never did a podcast. Never
I know.
had any.
Absolutely.
I seen it on